It doesn't mean that I'm endorsing it and I'm with them. I am very neutral. The other side of the person, if someone hears me and they want to come and talk to me, talk to on my platform, I am open to that too. So I'm a neutral platform where you can come and talk about your life and what you went through, what was your story and what did you do to overcome it. But that doesn't mean that IntenseDMV Radio or me personally, Manish Sood or Tracy is endorsing it. We are not. We are just listening to them and conveying the story to you guys exactly from their words to you, your ears. Isn't it, Tracy?
Absolutely. The personal journeys are going to be shared, like you said, nothing but objectivity. And like you said, we're going to be neutral. So this is wonderful that you've set that stage in the front.
Yes, it is very important for everyone to know that before we get him online. Okay, so enjoy this little bit of music till I put him online. Thank you. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Manish Sood. Once again, I have Tracy and I have Mr. John on air right now. Hello, Mr. John.
How you doing, Manish? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Could be better. Could be better.
Could be better, sure. So, Mr. John, before we start this, I wanted to let my audience know once again that the story or your life which you went through, the horrific tragedy that you had, and all this thing is your thing, is nothing that I have asked you to do or you have, we both sat down and created a story. That's not it is. This is exactly what has happened to you, and you are willing to tell this to my listeners openly at your own will. I have no part in this, and Tracy is also with me. She's a partner with me when I'm doing an interview, and she has no part. She's never met you before. I've never met you before. But you wanted to talk to my listeners and tell them what exactly went through then. The idea is not to tell them what you went through, but the whole idea of this conversation today is to make them aware of what cyberbullying is and how you should stop it initially, or if you are into it, how to prevent it, because you have gone through it personally and you have come out of it. Like you are struggling still, but you forced yourself to come out of it. In fact, one of the situations was so bad that the listeners will know in your story, you have to tell it. But this is what I wanted to let the listeners know, that you personally have gone through it. So that's why you are the best expert of telling people where it started, why it started, when it started, and what it did affect to you in your life, and how are you overcoming that. So good luck, and please go on.
Okay. So let me give you a little bit of background about myself, if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
So people can understand. I am a retired EMT, which is an emergency medical technician. I'm also, music is a passion of mine. I'm just going to give that much because I don't want, certain things. I love computers. I used to be in chat rooms, talking to random people, just exploring new friends and whatnot. So I was in a chat room one day and I just started getting targeted by individuals, and then when one person starts insulting you, the whole bandwagon comes, and they think it's funny because they're behind a computer.
So it started with an insult game, like, okay.
Insulting, because these chat rooms you can see them on camera, so they'll make fun of your appearance or call you names, take screenshots of you and post it all over social media without your permission. This is just some tactics that they've done to me.
Okay.
Not only to me, but also to my family.
Okay.
I don't want to lose my train of thought. So this started in 2015 and it's still ongoing. So it got so bad to a point where...
So let's talk about when it started. So you were in the chat rooms in different platforms and you're chatting with people, and then some people started commenting on your appearances, on your looks, and started insulting you, and you went back on them, obviously, you know.
It was tit for tat.
Right. Oh, I don't blame you on that. So you went back on them and they started, and so then what?
Then I guess I might have said something that irritated them, where they started, like, so there's a terminology called doxing. Doxing, what they do is they find out your real name, they fish around for your information, they get your information, they try to use it against you, which they've done to me. They doxed me, my family members, my friends, people are, you know, even my old enemies, stuff like that. And they just started calling them. I mean, they took it off the internet. They started calling them. They started threatening them. You name it, they've done it. Just a way of intimidating. They use the intimidation tactic.
Okay.
And then constantly calling. It's not just, you know, once or twice, constantly.
So calling you on your phone, your cell phone?
Calling me on my cell phone,
okay.
And it got to a point that it was pretty bad. I mean, the whole situation's pretty bad. And then it didn't stop there. They made
right. But tell me one thing, and I'm not want to interfere too much because I want you to complete your story, but there are ways where, 1 second, just 1 second. Hello, Tracy?
Yes.
Yeah, you got disconnected?
Yes.
Oh, so sorry. Okay, I'm so sorry. Once again, John, please go ahead. So you were talking about they start calling you, but there is something like on your phone where you can block certain numbers, right?
Yeah, but they would call with different numbers. And then they would call block.
Okay.
And I don't even know how they got family members' numbers that aren't even listed. That's what we're still trying to figure out, where they're getting it.
So you were talking about doxing, a word known as doxing, where they go to your social media and they take out all your history, your name, your real name, your phone number, your address, your family member's name, address, and everything, and they can go and search and get into all your family members. Okay, then they start calling you, and to a point that you are calling you so much that you are totally harassed the whole day. They keep calling you. Okay, next.
And then they make fake Instagram pages or Facebook pages or any social media pages. They make it and they start adding your friends and they start posting fabricated lies. And I mean, these cyberbullying.
So the Facebook page or Instagram page they are making, is it under your name or they just make a fake name?
My name with my pictures, with my family's pictures, trying to expose family members, and it's just a way to cause mental torture or alarm and distress, as they call it.
Right. So they go online and they get your pictures and then they open a new account under your name with your pictures on that and then start adding your friends. So, let's say you are my friend and you send me a friend request and I see your picture and I see your name. I say, oh, I know him, and I accept your friendship. Actually, he's not you. So that person is a cyber-bullying guy who's sitting behind the computer, now getting into all your friends under your name. Okay, interesting. Okay, then?
Then they, make fake accounts. They find out what school you go to. They find out what work you go to, where you work at. And they just, pretend to be you. And they try to do this just to basically ruin your life. It's just... And
then they start posting things that you don't, wrong things on those. And so what do you do then? How do you come to know?
So I came to know when people started messaging me and, they taunt me, and they've messaged me from different accounts, taunting me, messaging me from different WhatsApp numbers, regular phone numbers, and that's what they do. And they message friends, and then friends reach out and say, look, I got this message. And then that's where the anxiety and all the, basically the anxiety and
So, in short, John, every time a phone rings, your heart starts pumping, right? Your anxiety reaches the next level. You're very curious who the person is and why. So, your whole life is gone under, anxiety and depression because of this. What happens to you the whole day? How do you sleep? I mean, do you get sleepless nights, or are you worried? What goes on in your mind?
So when they attacked me and my family, I had sleepless nights.
Okay, first of all, when you say they, that means you are assuming there are multiple people, or it's just one person?
As in the perpetrators, we call them perpetrators.
Okay.
Well, it's a legal word, I guess you can say. The perpetrators literally have made my life a living hell. I don't know, and made us lose sleep at night to a point where I was disconnecting with myself.
Right.
So it was so bad, Manish. It's not even funny when I tell you this. At one time, I contemplated suicide.
Oh my God.
It was so, I'm telling you, I was scared of what they're going to do next. How they're going to do it. What do we have to fear? Do I have to, I was looking over my shoulder. I was scared because they found out where I live. So they messaged me saying somebody's going to be outside, to a point to where even messages are saying they're going to throw acid on me and my family. And that's when we got the police involved.
I was about to tell you that. Okay, good. So you went to the police station and you filed a complaint.
I filed a complaint the first time. I filed a complaint the first time. They found out who it was, and then obviously I went to court.
Okay, so when you file a complaint, the cybersecurity cell in the police, they found out who the culprit was, or perpetrator was, and they gave you the name and address of the person, or what happened?
No. They went and filed. So basically, they sent criminal charges for harassment.
Okay.
To the individual, and then that person had to come to court.
Okay.
But because it lived in a different state, they hired a local attorney.
Okay.
So when it went in front of a judge, they said both of you guys just leave each other alone, and throughout the case. For a while it stopped. We got a breather in our life. Okay. Then it restarted again. I don't know if this person started getting other people involved. I don't know the whole structure of what exactly happened, but I can tell you it just came like, I don't know, like a tornado. You know how a tornado comes really quickly and then leaves?
Yeah.
That's how it came. It came like that to a point that my friends were getting messages. They've gone to local media, and basically what I've learned is the word gaslighting. So they were gaslighting, and gaslighting is basically projecting what they're doing onto me. And, people, they lied to the media. Media never contacted me, and it just went from there. And they just started making websites, Facebook pages, even more. It was so bad, but that at this point in my life, I was crying every day. My family was crying. My niece, my nephew, children in my family were crying, scared to death. Everybody just doesn't know. So
when you say your nephew and niece were crying, why? They were also getting these fake messages or threats or something?
So what they did was they made these social media sites and started targeting their schools.
Oh, no.
Police. Yeah, there was police sent to these schools, and it just was really bad for everybody's mental health. But then I got scared because I thought I was going to lose my family, my friends, everything that I worked so hard for. So that in desperation, I was like, I'm going to end my life. And then me being an EMT, I reached out to the suicide hotline.
Okay, you called the suicide hotline.
Yeah, I called the suicide hotline, spoke to them, and then I spoke to my brothers about it, or my family members about it. And then I went and...
Did you tell your family member that you are going to commit suicide, or you were planning to commit, or you have those thoughts? Did you tell them?
Yep.
Oh.
I've told them, because they're in the medical field as well. They understand the severity of this. So I went outpatient therapy. The first time I didn't really feel it, meaning I didn't feel like I was the best fit. So then I got discharged because they were trying to push meds on me. And I was telling them it's a situational thing. I don't want to be put on meds.
Okay.
I don't believe in medical therapy, if you get what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I like to do everything natural. During that time, after that, I started reading a book, which I highly recommend everybody to get it, which if anybody wants it, it's by Vex King. It's called Good Vibes, Good Life. And
Good Vibes, Good Life. Okay.
And basically what it did is help me retrain my brain on how to look at everything.
For example?
For example, like, instead of, how do I explain it? Instead of looking at it as a punishment, I trained my brain to think as an experience to change myself.
Okay.
If you acknowledge, so what I'm trying to say is, if you acknowledge, it just made me reevaluate the whole situation.
Yeah, it's a bad dream. You started taking it like a bad dream.
Correct.
Okay.
So
let me just hold over here. So you started reading this book, and you were into a suicidal thing. You spoke to your parents. You called up the 1-800 number for suicides, and then what did they tell you?
The suicide hotline really felt bad for me.
Yeah, but what suggestions did they give? They give you a number to contact, or they?
Well, they said that you should go seek help. You should go to the nearest emergency room.
Okay.
And they just talk to me about what's going on and calm me down to a point where I was thinking rational instead of irrational.
Okay, very good. And then when you went to a doctor? Psychiatrist?
Yeah, so I went outpatient psychiatrist and therapy. The first time it was a really hardcore therapy, which it taught me some ways to cope, but it just was also triggering it. It was like I wasn't feeling any help, so then I got discharged.
Okay.
And then I started, reading this book and watching videos on YouTube and, positive meditation, learning meditation. But I was still having something called depersonalization and derealization. So what that is imagine yourself seeing yourself out of your own body.
Okay.
You're not connected. You're not grounded. That's what I would see all the time. I would always be scared. I would wake up screaming in my sleep. I'm telling you, it was torment. Now, even my family members that I live with, they couldn't help me. And they feel so bad for me because they couldn't help me. Right? At this time, we were still dealing with the police. The police are just giving us the same excuse. Turn off the computer, and don't mind these people, just block them, which we keep on doing, but they find different ways to get to me. So not only to me, to other family members and friends. So,
So the police told you to turn off the computer, block these people, but these people had access to your family, your friends, your niece, your nephew, your mother, your parents, everyone, brothers, sisters, everyone, and they would keep on sending them messages, you messages. What kind of messages were these?
They were like, so-and-so is harassing people. Basically, everything they're doing, they're trying to say that I was doing.
Okay.
basically projecting what they're doing, and then saying, "Oh, we're going to come after your business. You won't be able to afford that house," stuff like that, and just one thing is, somebody in my family is not, so sexuality. So basically, we're going to get into sexuality. So somebody in my family is not, straight.
Okay.
So they would say they found out that they weren't straight, and when that happened, they started blackmailing that person as well. So obviously, that person had to come out, forcefully come out about their sexuality.
Okay.
So, we already all knew, but the fact is that they didn't get that opportunity to do it themselves. They were forced out because these people found out, called up local religious places. I'm telling you, they went all out. That being said, they just started making more and more social media websites, more and more stuff on the internet. And taunting, just constantly taunting everybody. And the police say, do not respond, but there's only so much anger you can hold in.
Yeah.
So the second time what they did was they called up local media where I live. These people were apparently following me and my family everywhere we went. We didn't know. To a point that I had to call 911 saying there's a suspicious car outside our house. That same day was the same day that the local media came to, bombarded me and would not let me go into my brother's office where I go to, where I feel safe. So that right there triggered a severe anxiety attack. Obviously, police were involved. And I had to go back inpatient.
So you went back to therapy then?
Yeah, back to seeing a psychiatrist and a therapist. And this was general psychiatry instead of the hardcore psychiatry that they would give to somebody who was committing suicide.
Right.
At that time, I was still quiet, scared, didn't know, felt like everybody would judge me. But this was a no judgment zone. I highly recommend this. So when I went in, I told them what's going on. I said, look, if the media comes here, is there a way you can block them? They said yes. They made sure I was safe. So when I went and I saw the doctor and I said, this is what's going on, even the doctor was flabbergasted. Literally, the doctor was she couldn't take anything. So what I did was the next day I saw her, I showed her one of the emails that they sent to my niece and nephew's school. And they understood what I was going through. And that email made it look like my nephew was the next Columbine shooter.
Oh, my God.
Mind you, this kid's only 16, 15 years old with some disabilities.
But disabilities?
Yeah, with some disabilities. He was born premature, so there's disabilities. These people have gone to the point, I have family in a different country.
Tracy, are you listening to all this?
Yes, please, yes.
Okay.
So, these people have gone to my cousin's house in a different country, who also has a child with autism, showed up to their house, videotaped it, and put it on YouTube. They tried calling the police in this country.
But I still have to understand one thing, Ms. John. Why? Why to that extent, and why you? I still can't figure that out. Tracy, can you?
Okay.
I just have a question for you, if I may just ask one little quick question. You had mentioned something about the threat of throwing acid, right? Mm-hmm. And and I missed, I'm sorry, I was a little disconnected from the beginning, but is this something that possibly, this is something that, of course, our Indian community is unfortunately known to do in certain circumstances in India, but do you suspect that this person, and again, I'm sorry, Manish, if I missed that part, but...
Yeah, Tracy, I'll tell you that. He made a police complaint, the police tracked them down, they had a court order, they were called in the court,
But did we identify if this person was also Desi because of the...
I don't want any identification. I don't want any names, Tracy.
Is this a cultural, is it a same cultural to cultural, or is this something somebody outside
Yeah,
of
same culture. Yeah. So I told Mr. John very specifically there cannot be any names of or any cities or any countries involved. It has to be very, very because his case is still going on. The case is still in the court.
Still happening. It's still happening. Still to this day, it's still happening.
So it all started in 2015. It's 5 years now.
And it got worse in 2017, 18, and then 19. 19 was like the year that they just like dramatically destroyed everybody in my family mentally.
So did you at any given time, I'm sure when they were doing this, were you retaliating to them? Were you even going after them, or you were just ignoring them? What were you doing?
At one point in that chat room where they were saying stuff about me and like going on in Facebook Live and stuff, there's only so much abuse you can take. So I did retaliate. I mean, I just was to a point where, if you're going to go on Facebook Live and show family members pictures of when they're child, you're going to lose it. So, I mean, at that time, when I wasn't getting anything from the police, I did retaliate by cursing at them. And it didn't really get anywhere. It just made everybody look like an idiot. So, I mean, obviously I told my attorney and I told the police and I told, even police in that in that area that they're from. And, all you can do is they're saying, don't retaliate, don't retaliate. So that being said, that's why therapy is great, because all that anger when I went back to therapy, and this time they didn't shove medicine down my throat. They weren't forcing it, and they just said, talk about it. I vomited everything out, meaning like I just let everything out. And it felt great. I didn't feel like retaliating. I don't wish bad upon them. I've learned to forgive them during this therapy. I mean, till this day, they still attack me, and I still forgive them. And they're probably listening to us right now, so I'm just saying I still forgive them for everything they've done. But, cyberbullying, there has to be something done.
So I have a question. Someone just texted me. So since you were in social media chatting with them, were they your friends, or did you know them, or they were just random outsiders?
Random.
Never
met these people in my life.
So you had...
One of them...
Okay.
One of them we spoke to on the phone. And like I said, he didn't want to mention the whole story on whatnot, but it had to do with a possible business deal. And that's where the second time they came around, they targeted everybody in my family.
So you just added random people in your Facebook profile, friends?
Yeah.
Okay. So
like
and this is one thing to learn from. So when you're getting a friend request on any of your social platforms like Instagram or Facebook or any other platform, you go and search that person's little bit of a history, whether you know them, and why would you not to randomly add people whom you don't know or whose profile looks suspicious, right?
Right. But see, here was my major mistake, which I learned.
Right.
Is my personal Facebook was also what I used to do my music stuff with, and I added my family there and then random people, and that's where they got my docs. That's how they started getting information about me. Because I added random so-called musicians or promoters and stuff like that onto my personal Facebook instead of making a different profile where it's just for music and stuff. That's what I've done. So what I've done now with my social media is I have 2 of each. So on different platforms, I'll have a personal one, and then I'll have one that's public. And I never add anybody that's in my family or that's close to me or my friends onto the public one, in fear that these people who are still attacking me and my family are going to get a hold of them.
Okay.
So that's one thing I've learned, and there's after
So
being
now let's talk about, the therapy you went through, the Good Vibes, Good Life book that you read, and then in which they told you forgiveness is the best way, and then you keep forgiving these people. But is the attack still on?
Is that attack? Yeah, the attack is costly. It's going to be forever. Their end thing is what they've told everybody is that either I end my life or I end up in jail. This is what they're saying. And my question is, why would I end my life up and why would I go to jail?
Okay, so what are you doing to overcome this now?
What I've done to overcome this is I'm going to therapy. I do meditation. Well, I got discharged 3-4 weeks ago. I did a full 9 weeks, and it helped. It helped me cope with stress, anxiety, stuff like that. I don't panic anymore as much. I don't overreact when I find that they're doing something else. I'm meditating. I'm getting, self-love, self-care. And one thing that really, really, really taught me was I don't need to validate myself to anybody. So the validation was the major key. So what I mean by that is, like, say somebody writes on social media, this person's a bully, oh, this person's ugly, this person don't like them. Okay, type all you want, but that's how you feel, that's how you feel. I can't change it. But that doesn't mean that I have to validate what they're saying. So I don't need their validation. It was always about what other people thought of me and because it's a whole cultural thing, right? Us Desis, let's be realistic. It's not only Desis, I think it's everybody, care about what people think. But it took my set of friends, my friends that helped me through this, people around me, my family, to teach me this as well as therapy.
Okay, so here's what I want to ask you is, when all this is happening, and it's still happening, and they're going and crushing your reputation, your name, does it affect your friendship to people around who are your friends? Do you still have friends, or everyone is gone, or you still have some good friends?
No, I still have friends. I have, I didn't lose a lot of people, and then those people who I have lost, at the end of the day, I say good riddance. Because you find out who your real friends are in the toughest of times. Okay,
so your friendship with certain people are still there. How about your family? How does your family take all this?
My family supports me 100%. They supported me. My family's even suffered, like extended families even suffered, and we're still together. I mean,
so the positive part is your friends are still there, your family is still there. I wanted to someone text me, talk to you more about you saying about the sexual part of it, or they came to know that the other person is not straight, he's a gay, or something. Right. What is the harm? Nowadays, it's very, very common. I mean, but it was the social stigma or the cultural thing or religious thing that you guys were feared of. I mean, I do understand if let's say if I'm gay, I want me to open up and tell people rather than people putting it up on social media. That I do understand that. But was it something that you wanted to hide for the rest of your life, and now they came up on social media and now you can't, and now you have to open up? Is that something what happened?
No, so this family member of mine, they weren't ready to open up because obviously the culture, the religion, people's backwards thinking type thing. So unfortunately, that person had to post on their social media that they are, and that they said the reason why they had to do it, and like everybody accepted it. But I think it's more of a fear, because there are still some people, not in this generation, but in prior generations, who cannot handle it. So if you went to your parents and said, or I went to my parents and said, "Hey, look, I'm gay," my dad would probably have a heart attack and die.
Oh,
that's the mentality. So and I know a lot of people have that fear, but people understood and love that person until this day. We don't judge. So it helped. It took a lot off their shoulders, but at the end of the day, it just wasn't the right time for them to come out, and they felt that they got that ripped from them. It's
Right.
like they got their integrity, and the whole thing was really bad.
So I have another question and just want to make a comment. Yes, the gentleman, Mr. John, fictitious name obviously, is in America. Yes, he is local, he is in America. So I just wanted to, someone had asked me a question on text message. I just wanted to read them. Okay, Mr. John, so tell me now, how are you coping with it? What are you doing? How come I see a lot of positive words now, forgiving, being happy in what you have? How did all this change instead of from a suicide case right up to a point that I think you're doing something with your career and everything? Tell us about that.
So how I overcome it is knowing that I have backing from my family as well as the therapy. And there are two friends that I have that are very close to me that live in a different country who've actually taught me to have tougher skin. So, if somebody says something bad about me, even till this day on social media, they're like, just laugh it off, right? Which it took a lot of time to rewire your brain to make you, for somebody who always had that, self-consciousness, I guess that's what you can say, about their appearance or how they feel about themselves. And I just changed my friends. I took everything negative out of my life, and then that's why the law of attraction and stuff like that, all these books I'm reading, have made me love myself more and be grateful for everything I have. That being said, what I did was during this whole traumatic thing, I went back to school. I studied IT, got a degree in IT with a specialty in cybersecurity, which taught stuff about cyberbullying and criminology about computers and stuff. And what I'm doing now is I started it's in process, a nonprofit, where I'm not for profit organization. And like I was telling you, I was having trouble figuring out which one I should pick. So, and with that being said, I'm using that not-for-profit to make awareness about cyberbullying, bullying in general, and mental illness. That there's no stigma. People are afraid to get help if they have mental issues or if they're being bullied, because let's be realistic, it is kind of embarrassing. I mean, I'm 40 years old and I'm being bullied over the internet by a bunch of people who are hiding behind the internet. People will be like, then why don't you shut off your computer? It's not as easy. Nobody understood and nobody really knew the story. So still till this day, I get people writing stupid stuff, but they hide behind a computer. So the more research I do, it's like, the more research I do and the way that other people make me look at the situation, I now look at, say Manish or say Tracy, you come under a fake account. You call me morta, I'm not going to say the bad word, something mean. Usually, so what I do now is I look at it and maybe that's a cry for help for them. Because you know how they say about abuse, it transfer down generation to generation.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes,
so
you're right.
I look at like that. So when somebody comes at me, I'll stop whatever I'm doing on live or on social media and say, hey, do you want to talk about it? Or, or if it's really mean, I'll be like, listen, I know you're struggling through something. That's why you're coming and attacking me. That's how I look at it that way now. And that took therapy. I'm telling you, I thank my therapist. I thank my whole team at Penn Medicine. It's just amazing. That being said, I mean, now what I'm doing is I'm using my platforms to help. Even though I'll have random people post stuff, I'm just using all my social media platforms and any of my friends who want to join. And I just ask them to talk about cyberbullying, talk about bullying, and talk about mental illness to make an awareness. Because, there's so many people who committed suicide. There's the guy from Rutgers who committed suicide, another one committed suicide, all by just people being mean. So.
Right. Well, it was. So now you are studying. You have gone back to college. What do you do?
So now I've graduated cum laude from my school, and I was still dealing with all of this at the same time. Now I'm just using my degree and whatnot to help others.
Okay.
So,
you're working?
not right now.
Not right now.
Not with
okay.
this whole coronavirus.
Oh, obviously, with coronavirus, no one is working, so that's fine. But once this is over, you are going back to work.
Yeah, so honestly, I haven't applied for any jobs. Only reason is because this whole cyberbullying thing is still going on with me. And, until this is over and I find...
So you mean to say that because of this cyberbullying, you are not even getting a job?
Yeah, pretty much. That I'm too afraid to apply. Because if they Google up my name, there you go.
Seriously? What do you do then?
Yeah.
What would you do?
I mean, luckily I have enough savings from when I did work.
But what if a person doesn't have savings? What if the person doesn't have a family support? Tracy, what would the person do?
I'm wondering, why is he not getting the support from the police and justice system, and why is everyone just saying ignore it? I'm just a little bit confused as to every door he's trying to open, it seems like it's being shut. But then the good news is that he's being directed to different therapies, which have actually ended up helping him, discover that self-love and that ability to say, hey, this is not my fault, this is their problem. And then also while figuring out, who is going to be around. Are they fair weather friends, or are they going to be, around during this time? So, and you are lucky to have the family, but Manish is right. What do you do when you don't have the family? What advice would you give those people?
I mean, honestly, I don't know. I haven't even thought of it like that because, but right now I'm dealing with it and I'm trying to figure out, but there's organizations that could help as well. There's cyberbullying.org, there's the cyberbullying government one. If you don't, honestly, I don't know to that question. I can't give you an answer for that because I've really never looked at it. Because
I don't know either.
I'm still going through. Most people will be like, yeah, I have the answer, but I'm a very honest person and I don't know.
So, Tracy, you know what the next show would be? We would have to get a law enforcement guy on our radio station to tell us, or an association to tell us what to do when we are into this kind of situation.
Exactly. Great idea. Yes.
Yeah.
If
So this is all about you today, Mr. John. So what have you done to cope up with this? You said you went back to school, you now graduated, you are into cybersecurity, you're going to apply for a job, you have decided to forgive those people and just move on to your life. You still have a good supportive family, some friends, and you're on with it. But you're scared to apply for a job because you don't know what's going to happen when you go to the job and you come to know. Is there any way that you can hide it? You don't have to put it on social media that you're working in this place, right?
No, even if applying. So what a lot of companies do is they will Google up your name.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where the problem is now. I've had people from, career counselors saying, use a nickname where, even if they Google it up. And I was like, well, if I get the job and they ask for my ID and it's a different name, then, that's lying. And they're like, that's not lying. People do it all the time. It's just, I have a clean heart and I'm very conscious.
Can you not patch up with those people and say, look, guys, my life is getting ruined. I'm sorry if I abused you or did something wrong. Can we just let it go? Can you, is it any way, do you first of all have a dialogue against each other? Can you talk to them?
Legally I can't because we have 3 sets of attorneys.
Oh, okay.
And this is still a criminal matter. The whole thing is still being investigated for 5 years now.
I'm wondering how much money you have paid to the attorneys by now for 5 years.
I'll tell you this, I will have to pay my family for the rest of my life.
Oh my God.
So it's that bad. And, you know, we've gone to big law firms, people who have done cybersecurity and cyberbullying, people who have worked with major big names, and they still don't understand why the police aren't arresting these individuals or charging them or whatnot. So, I mean...
So it is very interesting to know one thing, and I'm sorry I'm just cutting off in the middle, is, Tracy, I don't know whether you were there that time, that when there was a court case going on and the guy was called from the place where he was caught and he was called in the court judgment was like, do not... what was the court judgment? Once again, do not interfere into each other's life and just...
Yeah, basically leave each other alone.
Leave it. That's it.
But see, that same individual keeps on messaging random people in my family and gives threats saying, hey, look, I was behind the first media thing. I'll bring out another media thing just to start another, friction. But this time we know how to handle it. And that's what we're learning during this whole process. We're learning what to do. And, our local police force, God bless them for, whatever they do, but they're not doing it right because they think this is just fun and games until they're not going to take it serious. I had a conversation with somebody else until somebody gets killed or somebody dies.
But we have the last 6 minutes left, and there's someone who sent me a question. Again, it comes back to the same thing. What do they want from you? Do they want money? Do they want your ego to be crushed and say sorry, or do they want you to be destroyed? What is it that they want?
They want to destroy me.
But why?
To destroy me. They want to because they want revenge. I guess because I took them to court. Maybe because, I shot him down. Maybe shot him down and no, I don't want to do anything with you. I don't know. Till this day, we don't know. I mean, even my friends that get dragged in by these people, they're literally, these people would call my friends in the morning saying, we got to get this person locked up. We got to do this to this person. And then even at night. So, you don't understand. I've been targeted, and now I've been targeted by somebody else. These people are just,
maybe it's the same person with different names. You don't know. You're saying someone else, but it might probably be the same person with different names.
No, it's a different person now.
Okay.
It's a totally different person, but they're all connected. So what they do is they're recruiting random people that I don't even know.
So we learned something about doxing from you. Doxing is what it is, taking out history of your family members from social media?
Yeah, basically they get everything on you, get your date of birth, social security number, addresses, phone numbers, pictures, schools, work, place of employment.
And then we learned the word gaslighting. I never knew this word.
I didn't either until I read various books, and then I also...
What is gaslighting?
About it. Basically projecting and making you question your own, projecting what they're doing, projecting what they're doing onto somebody else. And then also making
if I'm doing something wrong to you, I'm projecting that you are doing wrong to me.
Correct.
Okay, that's gaslighting. Okay. Tracy, did you know these words?
I have a feeling that's going to be utilized in your vocabulary now.
I mean, Mr. John, don't mind. We're just making it a little more.
No. I've learned a lot of stuff during this whole process, which I'm grateful for. But I just wish this would stop. We're trying every way, the right way, without retaliation.
Okay, so guys, here it is. I don't know who all is listening to me. We have more than 4,000 people. Stop this. Let's live. See, you see this coronavirus? What it can do to you? What it can do to anyone? You can't even see this virus, and they can ruin you. We are all human beings. If someone has made a mistake, he's ready to forgive you. Please forgive him. And if that can help and everything can be washed out, if he's done something wrong to you, he's going to be sorry. He said sorry already. He's forgiven everything what you have done. If these things can stop, stop it. I mean, we are just a media platform, and I said it in the very beginning also. We don't endorse any stories. We don't make judgments over here. This is a platform where people can come and say their stories and their real life histories. They don't make up stories. This is their real life history. Mr. John is a real person, and he lives in America. And this is his story. The things that you learn from the story is very important. Do not add random people as a friends. They are not your friends. You don't know them. First, know a person well enough to put them as your friend in your social media. Do not start chatting. Do not get, do not revolt back in bad words or any accusation if you don't know that person. If someone is trying to provoke you, cut him off right there. But you don't have to get provoked and start using bad language or start going cursing or doing wrong things, because you don't know what the other person can do to you. So I think it's very, very important to establish some kind of secrecy on social media platform. And I think Mr. John and Tracy, if you are with me, you don't have to put every single minute of the timeline on your social media. Where are you? What you're doing? It is not required.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree.
So be very careful. And one more important thing, and why I got John today on the radio, and he's been calling me and we have been talking too much time. I always thought, poor girls, poor females, they get victimized. And here is a male, 40 years old, getting victimized on social media platform. So it's nothing to do with gender. It is who you are, what your actions are. Sometimes you are a victim. You don't have to be a female. Very much a male is right in front of us today, being victim to a point that he was going to commit suicide. Thank God for your family and friends who were there. Thank God to that suicide toll-free number whom you called. But you were sensible enough to actually call and do that. You are sensible enough. The book that you read, Good Vibes, Good Life. I mean, people who are suffering from this, learn from this. Cut it off. Get out of social media for some time. Cut off those friends who are not your friends. Don't get provoked. Think positive. Anything else before we close down this show, Mr. John? It's already 6.
Yeah, so my thing is to all the listeners who are victims of cyberbullying or some bullying or even of mental illness, don't be ashamed. Do not be ashamed. Don't, if you need help, there's a suicide hotline. You can contact your friends, your family. Just don't be ashamed. It's not a stigma anymore. A lot of people say it's, the stigma this, stigma that, or people will think I'm possessed. No, forget them. If you need help, don't hesitate to ask. Just know that not everything is everybody's fault. It takes two to tango. I'm saying a lot of different things, but from my thing is just don't be embarrassed to ask for help. That's all I can really say. I'm still struggling from it, and I'm learning. Everything's a learning process.
It is. I totally agree with you. And I have so many questions. I'm so sorry. That's why I'm just reading. You can... okay, please. I'm so sorry. I'm just going... Tracy, can you say something in the middle? I have so many text messages, WhatsApp messages. I'm just reading in the middle. If there's something very important, I want to share this on the station.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I really was wanting to point out is the piece about self-love. After you went through all the various therapeutical programs and what have you, you came out stronger. You came out knowing that, hey, this is them, not me. And you also simultaneously, as we talked about earlier, started reassessing and reevaluating who was in your life. Thank goodness you have the social support. And the main thing that I'm really proud of you about is I actually speak on breaking down barriers as it relates to mental health in the South Asian community. So this topic is very, hits home with me, and it is very important for us to not look at this as a stigmatic component, but to look at it as overall holistically. Mental health is part of physical health. They're all together. And I think the more we break down barriers, the more we become more desensitized to, like you said, there's so many different types of lifestyles, as Manish put out there, that this old school frame of mind and thinking has to also stop. So we need to actually dig deeper and look at some of the multi-generational families and see if we can try to educate some of those individuals that unfortunately trickles down to the younger generations.
Yeah, no, I agree because...
Okay, I'm going to add one more person on air right now. Just give me a minute. In the meantime, you guys can talk.
Yeah, I have a question. You talked about...
Hello.
Kind of
Hi, Tracy. So I have Magistrate Jim, and he apparently was listening to our radio station. And first of all, thank you for listening to our radio shows, Magistrate Jim, sorry. And he wanted to join in, so I just passed him up. So you had something to say?
Yeah. Hi, John. How are you?
Oh, good. How are you?
I'm good. I've been listening to your story. I hear this story a lot, and it is a difficult thing to deal with. And you're always dealing with two parties, and you always have one party saying one thing and one party saying another thing. But it sounds like you've tackled it pretty well. I mean, you've done everything you're supposed to do. What do you want to do next? What's your goal, your end game?
Well, basically what we want is just to be left alone, not for our family to be bothered anymore with these social media sites to be taken down. But clearly, these people who are behind all of this don't think with a rational mind, and they just don't listen. I mean, we've tried. Trust me when I tell you, we've tried. Me, my friends, my family members tried. They don't. They're not reasonable people. So that's when we went through legalities, police, and, they've even taunted the police. They've taunted the attorneys, making fake emails, emailing them with fake emails, just taunting. And they want a reaction. And you don't understand, if it wasn't for therapy, I would have a knee-jerk reaction, which would be like, I would want to retaliate. But I've just learned why we should that, because that's what they want.
Well, retaliation always gains another retaliation, so certainly that is a good thing to follow. Don't retaliate. Have you just tried to ignore all this? Does that just not work?
Nope. They have now made several different social media sites, even till this day, adding people. I mean, one of my good friends called me today saying, hey, listen, maybe you should stay off social media because these people are adding all your friends, mostly all females, and, saying stuff about you. And I'm like, well, so we went on live today with a good following, and we were like, look, just please report the account, block it, and, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you're going through this, but now you understand that, well, I've been going through 5 years. So, I mean, that's all I can do. And, I think that...
I know the social media sites like Facebook, Snapchat, all these have their own security, and a lot of times you can report these people and remove their accounts. But let's be realistic. This whole coronavirus, nobody's going to do.
And that's what I knew. So I already self-prepared myself. Because during the coronavirus, everybody's quarantined and staying at home, and they have nothing better to do. So I
thing on
trained
the
myself
computer.
already. Yeah, so I already trained myself to expect something even more drastic, so I don't get that reaction.
Right.
So that my family doesn't. So we're all on the same page. But that being said, I wish law enforcement would understand the severity of cyberbullying, and I think that's where we would have a greater understanding instead of saying, hey, just get off the internet, turn off the thing, because they'll take it to a different level.
Well, you have to understand. Yeah, you have to understand that law enforcement only enforces laws. The laws are created by legislators. What you actually need to do is to go to your legislators. And,
yeah, which we are.
Right, and they're the ones that can pass, laws to make cyberbullying illegal. The problem is, a lot of times you can't tell who's on the other side of that computer.
Well, we've already done that, and we know who's on the other side. The thing is now we just got to wait, because right now it's in the prosecutor's hands.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a waiting game, so.
Well, have you ever considered taking civil action?
We're doing that right now. That's why it's a 3 attorney.
Well, criminal or civil? Are you trying criminal and civil?
Yeah, so we're doing 1 criminal. We have 1 attorney for criminal and 2 attorneys for civil, because one's in America and some perpetrators are in a different country.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we've done that. We're working with a high-profile firm that specializes in cyberbullying, which we've got. I actually contacted cyberbullying.org. There's a guy from there who's helped us with Route2Go when this initially started.
Well, if I will say one thing, the one thing positive that's going to come out of this, you're going to become an expert, which means you will be able to piece together, a plan of action for other people that might have to, seek assistance, because it sounds like you had to, like a fish going upstream, you had to figure out what to do, where to go, who to call, and how to handle it. So,
yeah, and sounds
like you might write a book.
Only if. No, but with what Manish was asking and Tracy was actually backing the question up, what if people don't have a family and stuff like that? That's why I'm starting this foundation, and then whatever money we raise, it will help pay for legalities for people, to get help, a safe place. That is my end result.
Well, yeah, but in your situation, why start a foundation? They already exist. Why don't you just join up with one who already raises money? Then you don't have to worry about that.
That is true, but I rather, it's just a goal that I make. So with me starting my own foundation, is because I know where the monies will be going, and that everything will be under my control, meaning I know where things are going, because a lot of foundations aren't true to what they say. So you get where I'm going with this? So that's why I'm starting the foundation, and it would be close to my heart. So I know I would put 100,000% more effort than going through somebody else.
Right.
So people can't say, okay, look, you went through this foundation. How do we know you're sincere? Well, because I've been a victim of it.
Right. Well, I appreciate the chance, Manish, and your other...
Most welcome, sir, for talking to him, and most welcome for being with us. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. John. I hope things get cleared up. I think you will, come out of all this, be a stronger person in life, and as the magistrate said, that you would be more knowledgeable. One thing which I want to tell my listeners is this is really, really something which is going out of hand. It is more dangerous than this coronavirus. And Mr. Magistrate, Tracy, you all are there with me, and you would agree.